Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Do me a favor, and if you can hear me, please go ahead and put your major, your year, and what type of graduate degree you're looking into. And it can be, I don't know, in the chat for me. And so I can just get to know everyone who's here. Awesome. Yeah, major, your year, and then what kind of graduate program you're looking into. So whether it's a master's, a PhD, or just graduate school in general, that's okay too. Awesome. So we've got a lot of master's degrees here. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm trying to make sure that I get everybody in. While you're coming into the room, please go ahead and introduce yourself with your name. Well, your name is on the chat already, your major, what type of graduate program you're looking into, and what year are you? I see some fourth years. I see some freshmen even. Great. Seniors, first year. Congrats for being here so early. And then while I'm still admitting some people, how about you all give me an idea as to why you wanted to come to this particular workshop? This is all about just getting to know each other right now, and then we'll get into the content. Wow, we've got a lot of people here, almost 40 people. Thanks so much. I'm excited. So why did you all decide to come to this particular workshop? Go ahead and put in the chat for me if you can quickly type or just give us a reason. Awesome, brah. A training requirement for peer nights. Oh, okay. I'm glad peer nights is coming though. I'd like to build my portfolio for graduate school. Having issues putting everything together that you've done over the past years, that's great. This is going to be perfect for you, Justin. It'll give you some ideas and things to think about, but I do want to make sure that you all know that this is not a one-stop shop. An academic portfolio is a lot to undertake, as Justin kind of alluded to in their message. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that this will take more than just today to put it together. But today we will talk about what graduate schools deem important in your academic portfolio and how you can kind of collate and take from the other things that you've done so far. Like to know what to put on an academic resume. Okay, good. Indira, you should have an academic portfolio. I'm just kidding. I'm glad you're here. All right, well, I think almost everyone is here. We are above 40 people, so that should get us there. So what I will say to preface this is that I love the chat and I love asking you all to kind of participate with me through the chat. At the end of the workshop, what I'm going to do is turn off the recording, stop recording, and then start asking people to kind of pop up and ask questions because I just think it's a little bit easier. So as of right now, let's use the chat in order to ask questions. If you see a question that you really like, do me a favor and then put this sign in the chat for me. So then that will make me go up and look at whoever just asked a really good question. Because with so many people in the chat, it's hard for me to keep track while I'm also talking. But I just wanted to let everybody know that that helps me figure out what's important to you all. All right. Okay, let's go get it and get started. So, building your academic portfolio for graduate school preparation. My name is Colleen Smith. I'm the advisor and digital learning coordinator for academic advancement programs. And my background is learning design, counseling, and also graphic design. So, those are kind of the discipline areas that I understand. STEM is a little bit easier for me, but I'm not going to lie, I don't know very much biology because the reason why I'm telling you this is because it's very important for your academic portfolio to showcase your discipline and the specific skills that your discipline deems as important. So it will come as no surprise that I will ask you all to reach out to some other people to figure out what those important skills are. Now, we'll go over some like overall general skills that's important for graduate school. But I think it then falls on you to dig a little bit deeper and try to find even more people or more themes or important categories for you to hit hard in terms of showcasing your skills. All right. So, for those of you who don't know, academic advancement programs helps prepare underrepresented, low-income, and first-generation college students to help to pursue graduate school. We are particularly focused on those populations, but as you know, these workshops are for everybody. So, just know that sometimes our messaging is directed towards those populations specifically, so that we can make sure that everybody is as prepared as possible to get into graduate school. All right. And this is our AAP family. This is our professional staff, our graduate staff, and then our peer leadership team. And we'll talk about our peer leadership team kind of in the next couple of slides with advising and how they can help you. For those of you who have not seen, this is our online schedule. I'm going to try to put in the chat while talking at the same time the link for our flyer. Boom, did it. It happened. So we have a few more workshops happening this semester. Make sure you RSVP for workshops like you did this one by going to ap.ucf.edu/grad/workshops. And then that will help you RSVP for the rest of our workshops. We also have this really awesome program called Pre-Graduate School Nights. This program is an open access program that anyone can apply to and get into that will help everybody prepare for graduate school, whether you are in your first year here at UCF, if you're a potential transfer student, or even if you're in your senior year. And there are some really awesome perks that come with that, like GRE prep materials. I'm trying to type at the same time, and this is always difficult, but definitely take a look at that. And what's great is that you could potentially get credit for coming to this workshop. So might as well think about it because you're already halfway there. All right, and then this is what I was talking about. We have pre-grad advisors that are students who are currently going through the grad application process. They serve as mentors to everyone who is looking for advice on the graduate application or preparation process. So we have a plethora of majors, as you can see. You can always email AP Advising. Oh no, I went way far. Nope. Okay, now we're back. So AP advising at ucf.edu. If you'd like to schedule an appointment with a specific person, because their major is close to yours or something of that nature. We also have grad school visits. So last semester we did this thing called Welcome Wednesdays, and it was every single Wednesday we had a new graduate school pop up and hang out with us and answer questions for students who are interested in those particular programs. So what we've done this semester, because the graduate application timeline is a little bit different and most applications are due like December, January, and February. Since we're past that, what we wanted to do is have panels. And what I'd like to kind of point out is this STEM graduate programs panel has actually been rescheduled to March 12th. So we'll actually have two panels in the month of March, the graduate school representatives panel and then the STEM graduate programs panel. I highly recommend taking a look at these. And the URL for this is is grad/visits, but definitely sign up for that. They're panels, so come with questions. This is a unique time that you have been able to, thanks, Bra, March 12th at the same exact time, 12 p.m., but just a different Friday. So the reason why we have these panels is for you to come with questions and ask anything that's on your mind so that you can get a leg up and get some advice and suggestions on what you should be doing to prepare or get ready for in the future. All right. So we're going to get into content now. So I know that there are a lot of offices at UCF, and thankfully you all are here to be a part of an academic portfolio workshop from academic advancement programs. So AAP really helps with graduate school. And here at UCF, we have to decipher between graduate school and professional school, only because it helps our offices kind of make sure that we are suggesting and referring the correct students to the correct places, and we have the expertise correct. So particularly this workshop, though, will help also graduate school and professional schools. So if you are someone who is looking into medical school or on that way to maybe RN or become a dentist or an optometrist, this workshop will still work for you. But for the purposes of AAP and UCF, please know that graduate school is anything that's a master's of or a doctorate of, right? That is something that's focusing on mastering a field of study or a certain discipline. And you're kind of narrowing your focus from like your bachelor's degree. So let's say your biomedical sciences. See, here I go, examples of things that I don't know much about that I told you. Let's say if your major is biomedical sciences, then that means your master's degree would be a little bit more narrow in focus. And that's graduate school. For professional school, you finish your bachelor's degree and then you go into school to get into a specific career, so just medical doctor. But you can, specialize in pediatrics or oncology or something of that nature, but you will be a doctor at the end of that school, right? For graduate school, if you go into a master's of social work, yes, you'll most likely want to work in social work, but that degree can apply to a lot of different fields. So it's something to think about. All right. For us to get kind of like an equal conversation and get our language straight, this is kind of what AAP says about our graduate school checklist. There are 6 main parts of the application. The first is choosing your graduate program. The next is finding letters of recommendation writers. The third is having a resume or CV, which should be something that should be posted on your academic portfolio, but is not an object to create your resume or academic portfolio in an online way. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Admission statements are a part of the application. Sometimes an admissions test like the GRE or the graduate record examination is a part of that. And then also funding options, applying to funding, external, internal, institutional, national. There are so many different options for funding that I would be remiss to not comment on it. All right, so let's get into it. What is an academic portfolio exactly? So it is this online presentation that highlights specific goals of yours, either academic or professional or both. And then also showcases what you bring to the table and how you're working towards those academic goals or those professional goals. So for example, you have different files that you could use in a visual way. So documents like if you're in writing and rhetoric, it would be PDF documents of some of your writing, right? Pictures, video, for those of you who have participated in undergraduate research. You might have a picture of you presenting a poster at a poster conference when, we had actual conferences in person. Or via Zoom, either way. Or you could showcase a video of yourself. I know YouTube is really big right now. And if you had a vlog just for your academic or professional career, then that would be something that you would want to showcase on your academic portfolio. All right, so then you want to make sure that there's evidence of things that you've done. So great, you became a leader of a registered student organization, an RSO, president, vice president, secretary, whatever that may be. That's cool, but A, what did you get from that experience? And B, what evidence do you have that you did that? Right? So an image is always so easy to like grab and like just put on like a website or something. But the parts that really showcase what you've gotten from this is your reflection on the experience and then some type of like program or event that you had to implement. And that is what helped you gain those leadership skills. So you always want to think about what is the visual part of this, and then what is the part that makes your case, right? And then I talked about writing samples, projects from classes, anything that shows your creativity or any of your performance levels of things. Extracurricular, co-curricular, leadership, we already talked about that. Evaluations, any type of analyses, reflections, or recommendations that you've gotten from other staff members or faculty. So just a quick tip that, again, like I said, this is not a one-stop shop when it comes to an academic portfolio or an e-portfolio. There is a program called Knights of Distinction from Experiential Learning that their entire program is based on how to create the best e-portfolio that you can create. And I highly suggest you all go ahead and put UCF Knights of Distinction into Google and take a look to see if you'd like to apply. I think they have some interest programs showing up. So this is a video that I have. Ooh, we'll see if it works. I'm not quite sure if the sound is going to be good. If the sound is not good, it's not a very long video, but please let me know in the chat and we'll try this and see how it goes, okay? All right.
It should tell your story. It should be everything that your audience should know about you. So it's a chance to expand on your resume and give whoever's reading your ePortfolio a better idea of who you are.
A great ePortfolio needs to first have an audience. The closer you know your audience, the more you're going to be able to select meaningful artifacts that are going to help you along the way to really show off what you can do in a way that they're going to care about.
If I could offer one piece of advice for Knights of Distinction students, it would be to start planning early, to really think about what your goals are and how each activity that you do can help bring you towards those goals.
The first semester is a great time to start looking into an ePortfolio.
You should start it as soon as you enter. It'll kind of help you get a better idea of the gaps in your resume, of what experiences you still need to complete.
Being able to show what you've been part of in that sort of visual and digital space is really the difference between getting hired or getting that interview, and being passed over is just another number applying for a job.
I'm using it as a graduate student to showcase my work that I'm producing within my graduate program. So you can use it through that. And then when you come out on the other side, you have all of your recent work in one place. I decided to join Knights of Distinction because I realized that I had a lot of experiences that I thought that were very beneficial to me and that I learned a lot from. But I didn't really know necessarily how to communicate their value and how to talk about them in a way that showed how useful and helpful they were for me. Now I'm able to talk about them in context and say how they're useful and say how they're valuable and say how I can use them to help an employer. Being able to talk about those skills and how those skills contribute to your success, that's what Knights of Distinction is for. It's helping you find the connections and find the skills that you already have and that you're already getting and translate them into something that a grad school or an employer might be interested in.
So that is Knights of Distinction. That is Knights of Distinction, like I talked about. They talked a little bit about the program, but they also kind of gave a little bit of advice as to what is important in an academic portfolio and why you should have it. So I want to hear from you all. Why do you think it's important to have an academic portfolio, an e-portfolio for grad school prep? Because obviously it's going to be good to help you get your job no matter what, but why specifically grad prep? Go ahead and type it in the chat for us. I am glad the video worked, by the way. That was the first time that I think that I've showed it. To demonstrate your interest and commitment to the field, yes, yes. You definitely need to show that you're committed to the field, specifically if you are interested in applying to a graduate program to deepen your knowledge of the field. That's right. Becoming a well-rounded applicant and show that, yes. To show that you will succeed in their program. Frederick, I love that you said that. That is very important. You basically have to show that you have the skills that their graduate students are currently working on, right? To show that you're going to be able to make it through that program, because potentially that is really what they look for in an admissions decision. To demonstrate your accomplishments and distinguish you from other applicants. Yes, yes, that is correct. Awesome. So these are all great answers. For those of you who are a little bit too shy to answer, that's totally okay. Just be thinking about why, for your graduate school preparation plan, is this particular project, because it really is a project, why is it good for you to have it completed before you start applying to programs? So one of the things I wanted to talk about was what your digital reputation is. So the sociologist Stephen Knock, who's a very prolific sociologist in terms of social media, talks about defining the reputation as a shared collective perception of a person. So that collective perception is really what everybody else thinks of your digital reputation. So what does that mean exactly? So some of the crazy parts about social media is that we do this like death scroll, right? Where we're just like scrolling through things, liking a few things, but we rarely really put more information out there that's to the benefit of our academic and professional careers. So what an e-portfolio or an academic portfolio is asking you to do is really take a look at all the things that you've done throughout your time in college, or start planning on what you should be doing in order to showcase those skills that you know that graduate programs are going to think is important, right? And we'll go over what those skills are and stuff a little bit later to help you out. But what ends up happening is that students don't always develop content specifically to help them get their job or get into graduate school. So this is the whole point is to have you start thinking about, you're doing stuff in college and higher ed, right? And you're taking the classes, you're doing the reports, but then when's the last time you look at that report? After you submit it, right? You don't really use those artifacts later on. So how about we kind of think back to all of our classes, or think forward to what our classes might look like and the experiences that we have, and figure out how to showcase that in the best of our ability, because you're really then just killing two birds with one stone instead of creating something from nothing, which is the whole point. So do me a favor and go ahead and Google yourself. Go ahead and put your name. If you have a common name like Smith, like my own, then go ahead and put UCF behind it. But go ahead and take out a browser, type in your name, and then put UCF, and then see what comes up. This is just an example of one of my students a few years back that I Googled, and she has some really good stuff, and I'd like to point a few things out. So the first thing is that she does summer research at Cornell. So that's one of the first things that's up. All of her pictures up here are professional. This is not her, this is her friend. So I'm not quite sure how her friend ended up here. But then you see it's her LinkedIn profile, which talks about being a research assistant at Cornell. And then the next onto her STARS library here, which is something that we'll talk about as well. So when you Google yourself, what are some things that you're not too excited that you found? Go ahead and put it in the chat for us. That you're not excited, or things that you think you should work on when you Google yourself. some website copied your LinkedIn profile. Well, that's interesting. So maybe you can contact them and ask them to stop copying your profile because it's not them, right? So one of the other things that we want to talk about is a learning network. So an academic portfolio is not just like, oh, great, I made this website, it's out there, I'm so excited. You actually have to have a professional or personal learning network to help kind of guide that portfolio and send it out to various ways so that more people have access to it. So, a personal learning network is this informal type of learning network that consists of just people you know via social media, LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. This network is what is going to help you kind of communicate what you need to communicate the best way. I mean, my personal piece of advice is that once you do get your e-portfolio up and running, make sure you reach out to people who are already in the field that you want to be in and ask for advice, ask for feedback, ask if there's anything that you can do better. So your social media accounts come up that may or may not be a good thing depending on how much you censor yourself for or how much academic content you share with your social media. And oh, nothing at all relates to you. Yeah. When my name changed because I got married, my name changed from something very unique to something very common. So that was something that I kind of had to work at creating more content in order to push me actually up. Unless you have someone that's like a pop star, a basketball star, or some sports person that has your exact same name, that is something that could potentially be achieved. If you have someone who is famous, unfortunately, it would be very difficult for this to happen. But that's why I say put UCF on there. And sometimes that'll help. All right, so you need to build your networks online, but you also need to build your networks offline. And this is something that we hit really hard in terms of graduate school preparation. We need you to join student organizations that are joined to professional organizations so that you can participate in conversations or hashtags or back channels that have to do with your academic profession and field. So if your social media accounts are the only things that come up, then you can start seeing that you have a combination of real life and your academic life and your professional life all entangled into your one professional self, right? But if you start having those conversations online, then it shows that you are a little bit more well-rounded. But it doesn't have to be strictly just professional, strictly just academic. It could be you as a person. And that is a fine balance, but it is something to consider. The next is that you can also search for conferences to attend, present your research, and keep in touch with influential people that you know. So in the time that we used to go to conferences, the thing would be to exchange business cards and be able to find them on social networks like LinkedIn or professional networks, and send them an appropriate like request to be a friend or to be a connection, right? So it wouldn't just be like so and so request to be your connection. It would say, hi, it was really nice to meet you at blank of a blank conference. We talked about blank of a blank blank because I'm interested in this program, your research, however that conversation goes. That type of connection request, yes, takes a little bit more time, but is very influential when people are starting to see opportunities that happen out there, and then you will stick in their mind a lot more so that they can then send those opportunities your way. And that is the point of having a network. And then last but not least, ask your faculty to connect with you either on social or offline, especially I think a lot of our faculty are offline, but we do have some that are online. So take a look at how we create that network. When you send a LinkedIn request to connect, there's an option to add a brief note to the recipient. Yes, thank you, Seva. Seva. Are you French? I don't know. Let me know.
It's Siva.
Seva. I was totally wrong. I'm so sorry. Seva. Thank you for that information. All right. So, talking about building your professional learning network online, we talked about a little bit of this, but you want to start joining those professional media websites, having a professional profile picture, not a selfie, right? Some things that make you look a little bit more professional and less college student-y, right? The next is search for connections and actually take that initiative to take that step to look for people that you would like to connect with. So research idols, other professional organization programs, other leaders within your field that are really active on social media sites. And then you also want to manage your online brand. So pay attention and make sure that you're updating your profiles. I kind of giggle at my husband because he just looks at it like once a year, once every other year. And I'm like, your title's changed since then. He's like, yeah, so. And I'm like, okay. So there's a lot that has to deal with LinkedIn profile updates because recruiters are all over LinkedIn. This is how they do their job. So if you're looking for admissions into a graduate program, or if you're looking for the next step in your career, you want to make sure everything is as updated as possible so those recruiters can find you for that perfect job opportunity. It's all about opening yourself up to whatever can come, and that is creating as quality of a network as possible, online and offline, and then also making sure that you are putting yourself out there for opportunities so that they can find you, so that a little bit of work now can help save you a lot of work later on down the line. All right, so I want to hear from you again. What skills are important for competitive grad school applicants to showcase on their online academic portfolio? What skills do you think you should be showcasing on your portfolio? Hint, there is no wrong answer, but I just really want to know what skills you believe you should be adding. Research skills, which could come in a lot of different forms depending on your discipline. Analytical skills, so making sure that you're looking at information and you're able to disseminate and communicate and articulate what that information means. Leadership positions, communication skills, good, good, good. So what about leadership helps you with graduate applicant? Oh, what about a leadership position would make you look competitive for graduate school? Extracurriculars, interpersonal skills. So some people call those soft skills. They're not really soft skills. Some people call them non-cognitive skills. They're also not non-cognitive. So interpersonal skills, I think, is a great way to showcase that. And sometimes, Brianna, interpersonal skills can be best shown in videos or experiences that you've had, like being a mentor. So hopefully, Brianna, you are a peer knight, and that would help out a lot. Community outreach. Awesome, Maria. Yes, community outreach is super important for your academic portfolio. That's that well-rounded piece that everyone doesn't quite think about. Courses, sometimes grades, depending on what your grades are. Club involvement positions, great. But then what did you do with those club positions, right? What did you then do with that internship? How did that help shape your academic goals? These are all the things that I think some students tend to forget, is that you put everything up there because it's just so much work to get it all up there. And then you miss some of the key parts of saying, like, this helped shape my experience this way. And then this is why I decided to go a completely different direction, right? It's that reflection piece that not everybody does. So we want to make sure that we add that in there. Thank you all for commenting. I appreciate it. So some of the things that I came up with was academic experience and what your potential could be, right? So you could say, currently right now, I work one full-time job, one part-time job, and I go to school. And you can say, if I were to receive funding, let's say for my graduate education, I know that all of that experience and determination and perseverance can be multiplied into my graduate education. And that's a way for you to be able to articulate, hey, funding would be nice, right? And then research and writing skills. So research and writing skills is very important for any type of graduate degree that you're looking for. If you're looking for a practical master's degree, research a little bit less so than a doctorate, but writing skills, most definitely, how you articulate and how you communicate is very important, because nowadays all we do is communicate via email and online. We have like task management systems that are all via online through Zoom. How do you get your ideas across? That is what is most important. Next is critical thinking skills. So how did you solve a problem? How did you have this conundrum and then you had this position, so then you were able to finagle this outcome, right? Tell that story of what that was like. It's almost like if someone were to interview you, what would you be telling them? If you could practice your interviewing now, thinking about the experiences that you've had, what would be the story or the value added from that experience? And for those who are first years and you haven't had these experiences yet, you want to be strategic and picky about the experiences that you're going to get in the future. Think about, will this help me tell my story? Will this help me get to my end goal? Will this help me kind of narrow in my focus and then find my path as to where I want to go? These are all the questions you should be asking yourself before you choose to spend your time on a particular thing. The next is leadership, service, and co-curricular activity participation, most definitely, but you want to make sure that you also communicate why it's important for you to have community participation. The next is creativity and initiatives. I saw someone add that. It's almost like you've come to one of my workshops before. And then higher order thinking skills, which I also saw in the chat. So evaluations, analyses, reflections, and recommendations, like we said earlier. All right, so then you have all this amazing experience now. What do? You want to start collating all of those experiences and start putting them into like categories. Now, everybody might have a different category set up, and we'll go over how to structure an online portfolio a little bit, but you basically want to see exactly what the video said is see what gaps you have right now. So you talk with your faculty, you ask your faculty, what are important graduate student skills that I should be working towards, that I should have, that I don't already have, right? And then you think about the experiences you've had and you put them into those skills categories. And if you don't have enough in one category or anything in one or the other, then you want to make sure that you're creating that experience and you're looking to get into those experiences. And lastly, if let's say those skills your faculty deemed important or you deem important in going into graduate education, let's say you don't have any artifacts or any type of like visual or anything that showcases that you actually did it, then you actually have to create that content to showcase that you did it, right? Which is where writing reflections a lot comes into play. All right, so what are artifacts actually? They can be documentations, they can be reflections, like I just said, but that documentation sometimes comes from coursework or projects or a group project that you did something together. Experiences like the internships, leadership positions, community outreach, and then also undergraduate research. Those reflections can be, how did your research experience help you gain XYZ skills? How did you, even though you were cleaning and pipetting, another biology reference, I'm really bad at this. How did pipetting and cleaning things in an undergraduate research lab help you understand the research process? Was it less the pipetting and more that you had more professional development conversations and you took the initiative to ask those questions and have those conversations with graduate students that were currently in that lab? Because that's probably something that you did. But you don't think that that is a major part that shaped your experience because you think about, I did this, this is what I did, and this is how I can help. But in actuality, you did a lot more. You were building your network. You were trying to understand conceptually what that research lab was doing. And that you also watched how others went from concept and idea to actually implementing their research, right? Even if you per se did not actually implement the research. So there's a lot more that you can get out of, even though if you feel like that wasn't all that experiential, right? I think what I'm trying to say is try to look at things in a different angle than just your worldview. Think about it when it comes to the graduate school admissions committees and what they think would be necessary. And then those reflections are what's going to sell what you need. All right, so think about what you need to showcase and then make sure you do that. is really what that's all about. All right, so tools. Real quick, what are some tools that you can showcase your e-portfolio? You can use LinkedIn. You can use ResearchGate if you're going into a research-heavy doctorate program or thesis-based master's program. The STARS repository is something here at UCF that's also nationwide, and it's free. You have blogs like WordPress, you have web courses or Canvas that you can actually create an e-portfolio on. Weebly is something easy. PortfolioGen, I think you pay for, and Squarespace, SpongeBob SquarePants. No, Squarespace is something that you can also pay for. And Wix, yes, good. All right, so here are some examples. This is something on web courses that there is an example of. I wonder if I can copy the link here for you all. Nope, probably not. Okay, well, jeez. All right, which screen do you all see right now? I'm so sorry. The PowerPoint? Yes, okay, good. Awesome. Well, it did show up the link, so I can actually send you all the link for you to look at this example. This was an example. This is a fake person, even though it's got a picture up there. This is a fake person that they used an example to show you how to create a strong e-portfolio on Canvas, right? All right, we're going to keep going. There's also some things like Wix, like Bra had said. And then what you see here, what I want you to pay attention to are the sections, right? So if we go back real quick. You see this is home. You have professional goals and coursework. You have internship experience, you have professional memberships, and then you have just one place for a resume or a CV, and then how you contact them, right? All right, so then here you have home, you have about me, you have my work, and then you have contact me. So a lot more simple, right? But she's very upfront. She's a plant breeder. That's exactly her line of study, and that's what she wants to be doing. All right, so let's move forward. Some other examples of an e-portfolio is you have home, you have resume, projects, courses, and readings. So depending, like I said, on what is important in your discipline and what strengths you want to showcase, this is how you're going to start setting up your e-portfolio. And then, one usability thing, make sure that no matter if you write out your resume, make sure you always have a download of a PDF and a Word document on that same page. That is something that is just good for accessibility, so that if someone wanted to like real quick pull your resume or CV, that you can download, they can download it real quick and then send it off to another person within your network, which would be great. All right, so this is an example of the STARS digital repository. It's something that our library actually heads, and it's something that you can create a profile on, but it doesn't actually like let you link out to other places. So one of what it looks like is kind of like a UCF LinkedIn, right? Where you have your profile picture, you have your name, and then you have like a title, and then a short little bio, right? And then you have positions, your CV or resume, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like a UCF version of LinkedIn. So if you're looking for other ways for your name to pop up ahead of something else on that Google search of yourself, then this is another way to add like another link for yourself. All right, and then there's also media pieces that you can add on to your, now if I can figure out how to get rid of my little pen here. Probably not. We'll see. We'll see what happens. If not, I'll just copy and paste things. So there's a thing called a digital story, and I have a student who actually completed a digital story by using Bitmojis back when Bitmojis were like a big deal, right? She basically taped or recorded herself talking audio on top of some pictures of like a slideshow of Bitmojis that told her story. And the whole point of this is that she reflected enough in order to be able to put in a succinct way that she learned a lesson throughout her time at UCF and how she's gotten to her goals. Leanne is currently a PhD student in at UC Colorado Boulder.
Before I started college, I didn't really know what research was. I always thought really smart people were researchers, not regular people like me. But I learned that what is equally as important is having passion and dedication to a particular field. As a freshman, I had the opportunity to participate in the LEARN program at UCF. During this time, I learned the fundamentals of research, like how to conduct a literature review, collect and analyze data, and present complex information. This research resulted in my first conference paper, which I presented at a conference where I was the only undergraduate who presented their research. I learned that progress in research can be made by all types of people with diverse backgrounds, and it made me realize that research was a tool of creating change. Eager with the slight possibility of one day making a contribution to our society, I decided to continue on the research path, but transition to the structural laboratory, where I have consistently worked with PhD students in various projects and have presented findings at the UCF Showcase of Undergraduate Research Excellence. Sophomore year came around and I felt I wanted to expand my research experiences. So I participated in the SMART program at the University of Colorado Boulder, where I assisted PhD students at the geotechnical lab. This summer experience sparked my first interest in graduate school because it was the first time in my life that the work I was doing was so exciting to the point where I couldn't wait to get up early in the morning and further my project. So in that moment, I realized I hit the jackpot. Now, put yourself in my shoes. Wouldn't it be great to discover a passion you didn't know existed, such as research? Knowing a second summer research program would make me more competitive towards graduate school, I participated in the NSF-RU program at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, where I investigated the response of agricultural components and resilience of rural communities to natural hazards. This research led to my second conference paper, which I will be presenting at the Structures Conference this upcoming April. Once graduate school application season came around, I knew I had to prepare mentally and physically for a very stressful semester. I decided to apply to 8 PhD programs and 1 master's across the US, as well as 5 external fellowships. I must say it was one of the hardest months of my life, but the sense of accomplishment I felt after I submitted my last application was unimaginable. Fast forward 2 months and I have gotten accepted to my top choices to pursue my PhD in geotechnical engineering. I like to think my life choices have gotten me to where I am today, but I also could have never done anything without the amazing support system I've had throughout the years. My family, friends, and the McNair family have all been there every step of the way, and I'm grateful every day for them. Now, this is the time for you to push yourself and strive for greatness. And always remember that a dream doesn't become a reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. Be persistent and always look forward, and you will get in the school of your dreams too.
So that is an example of a digital story. There are ways to do it that are, I told her that she had to keep it 3 minutes and she was like, it's 3:08, but there are ways to do it a little bit less time consuming. For example, and what I'll do is that I'll send you all the, I'm having some technical difficulties today, guys. I will send you all the link to a story map as well. So another one of our students created something for those who are in GIS or Geographical Information Systems. There is this thing called ArcGIS, which is a software that all UCF students have for free. it's called a way for you to create a story map. And there's a way, if you've moved around a lot, or if you have gone away to internships or research experiences and then come back to UCF or so on and so forth, there's a way to show geographically your story. And it's a little bit more written with visual images and stuff, and less audio and music. So depending on your strengths and how you can work with media, that might be something that is important, or something that you can use. So for example, it kind of, you scroll through it and you show like your information, and what you want to do is look at it as a story. So the beginning, the middle, and the end. The triangle piece is that you have a climax and then a resolve to your problem, and then it decrescendos into kind of the value or the lesson that you've created. So when you're thinking about your story, you want to think about how to tell your story in the most creative and influential way. So here are some storytelling tools. You can use Vyond, story mapping with ArcGIS, which is what I had just mentioned and showed you. YouTube, first digital story was on YouTube. Powtoon, Snapchat is something, and even TikTok you can use as an academic or professional setting. You just have to make sure that your content is tailored towards telling your story. Voki and Animoto, these are all storytelling tools that some are free, some are free-ish. So once you start getting into it, you don't have to pay for the extras, but if you think it would kind of put it up top, I would suggest to look into it and make sure you know what you can and cannot do with the tool before you actually invest a lot of time into it. All right, so then the next thing, remember how we talked about creating your online network? You also want to think about your network of strategic linking. So when you Googled yourself, did you find yourself on academic or official websites? Like my friend Giselle, when we saw that she did a summer research program at Cornell, her name was on UCF's official website. Her name was also on Cornell's official website. So think about how can you get your name on these other places, and you want to start linking things together. So once you create your academic portfolio, create a lot of links to go to other places that you have been mentioned on websites, so that they see kind of the reach that you've had so far. So that is LinkedIn, STARS, your research lab, if you've been a part of it, any type of university website and organizational website, if you have been accepted for a proposal for a presentation or a research presentation. You want to look at a conference website, like I just said. You want to make sure that your personal statement, that you are kind of linking to like maybe the research lab if you're talking about your research statement, or you're linking to other organizations that you've worked a lot with, and showcase that you've done it. So you want to create this web of experience, right? Not just for yourself, but to also create those networks for those other places, especially if you work a lot with your community. You want to make sure that more people are taking a look at what you're doing. All right, so this is what I have so far. I'm gonna open it up for questions and pause for a little bit. Pause the recording if I can find all the recording stuff. No, okay. Let me go through a couple more things before I stop recording real quick. The Knights of Distinction ePortfolio Workshop Series is coming up. If you have time, I would love for you all to make it to March 9th or even March 23rd. Do me a favor and take a picture of this, either with your camera, or I believe Snapchat has a QR code reader, but I'm sure everybody has a QR code reader if you can. And if not, I can copy and paste this afterwards for you all to take a look at the information. But again, Knights of Distinction, they are really the authority on the ePortfolio process. I'm just here to give a different flavor for graduate school preparation, and to think a little bit more broadly about what your online network could look like. Last but not least, take a look at pre-graduate nights, our grad visits, and then also our advising. That is one-on-one stuff that can help you with that. So if you are coming, the scan says disabled. Okay, I will copy and paste the link in it after this. So thank you for all the arrows. That helps me a lot. So if you are coming to this, we're hoping that you're in the building stage of your graduate school preparation. What this means is that we hope that you're within your second year, but we do have a lot of seniors and juniors and also first years who are here, so welcome. But around your second year, what you should be focusing on is your academics, developing relationships with your faculty, and getting involved and giving back to your community. Start to try to engage in undergraduate research or summer research or professional experiences like internships, and create and implement a savings plan for your graduate school applications. Make sure you reflect. I hope this is something that you all have gotten from this workshop on your experiences, and make sure that you're journaling and writing things down. It could like be sending an email to yourself. It could be like saving a sticky note to your phone or something, but be journaling and reflecting and capturing what you've gotten from your experiences and how it can help you move forward. And also, please come back to AAP, and that would be fantastic. So this is tinyurl.com/AAP workshop. This is our evaluation for our workshop. If you could do me a favor and copy and paste that into, oh, did I send it to the waiting room? Have I been typing to the waiting room the entire time? That's crazy. Okay, this is our URL for our evaluation of the workshops. Please go ahead and copy and paste that into a browser and give me some feedback on this workshop. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing, which will then give me a chance to stop the recording.